Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome to the video. So in this one, we're going to talk about what is happening with the stock market pullback right now and how to trade it in the week and weeks ahead, and then go over some trade ideas for the week ahead. And as always, there are timestamps in the description. Let's go ahead and get into it. So in last weekend's video, we talked about the setup on the S&P futures chart and talked about needing to reclaim above the 4493 to 4500 zone to set up upside once again, or a break and hold below 4464 would start the next leg lower, which would target 4400 to 4410 and then 4368 as the next key levels below there. And last week had very textbook price action as shown on the chart. Breaking below the 4464 level started the initial breakdown. It rejected there as new resistance before selling down to the next zone below at 4400 to 4410, which produced an initial bounce before breaking below there and hitting that final target at 4368 to close the week. Something notable though is on Friday morning the S&P initially broke below 4368, but this was a very exhaustive move. The trend was very oversold and it reclaimed back above during the day and was able to hold 4368 as new support. This is a potential false breakdown setup and we'll talk about what we'd expect from that in a minute. But this channel that we talked about as well last week is a good case study to look over for what happens when a market is weak. The break above the trend line along with 4500 triggered a breakout, but that quickly failed and sold back within the channel, and that triggered the false breakout. So fake out moves like this will often start a violent move in the opposite direction. So for example, here the S&P got a lot of breakout buyers coming in once it broke out above 4500, but once it sold back down, all of those breakout buyers became trapped and underwater on their position. They became forced to sell, which then starts that violent move to the downside. Something notable here though is the 4-hour RSI became substantially oversold, and as we can see, each time that it has done this, for the most part, it has resulted in a pretty strong bounce at the very minimum. And zooming into what played out on Friday, 4368 was the key level. It broke down in the early morning before reclaiming back above and holding it as new support. So this is a false breakdown setup now as long as it holds above 4368 moving forward, and if it's able to hold above, there's a good chance that for a decent sized bounce early next week. So if I was to lay out something that I think could play out moving forward, if we get that bounce next week, this could rally up towards the key 4493 to 4500 pivot zone, and if it rejects there, this would build out a head and shoulders pattern, which could then lead into a breakdown below last week's lows and trigger a sell all the way down to around 4200, where it would be highly likely that this trend bottoms in my opinion and then resumes the uptrend from there. And of course, this is just one scenario to consider and not going to try to predict by trading off of. The best thing to do is always just react and not try to predict. Alright, so now getting into some trade ideas for the week ahead, and I'm keeping the list pretty short this week because this current market environment is not the time you want to be aggressive. Pullbacks and a broader uptrend are the toughest times to trade. Shorting is high risk because the market can bottom or bounce at any time, and with longs you end up trying to guess the bottom and often get stopped out quickly on your positions. So what I'm focusing on right now are stocks that are showing the most strength versus the market. If a stock is going sideways or up when the indexes are going down, that stock is likely to explode higher once the indexes bounce or bottom. So Google stock continues to set up great and is a main focus for me in the week ahead. The stock has been flagging for about 4 weeks now versus the indexes and other big tech names dropping pretty substantially for the most part. Zooming in on the setup, it's set up in this bull flag. It would break to the upside of the trend line at about 132, and then the larger breakout would start above 133.75, which is the previous gap fill now acting as key resistance. Breaking above 133.75, I'd be targeting the 140 to 141 zone next above. And ideas how to trade this could be buying near the trendline support at about 126.5 or 127, or buying the breakout above 132-ish or 133.75, and with any entries I'd be using a tight stop loss very close below the entry point. Roku is another that I'm watching closely in the week ahead. Now this is one that has been weak along with the market over the past couple weeks, but it has sold down near a very key area which can offer a great risk reward for a trade. So this zone shown by the white lines is at 72.5 to 75. It was past resistance of about the 1 year long base pattern that it recently broke out of after strong earnings and has now came back to backtest it as support. Along with this, it has the 50-day moving average at 74.51 currently, which makes this zone even stronger. So a trade idea for this could be entered near the zone and play it with a stop loss on a break and hold below the 50-day moving average at about 74.5-ish. and from there could target a move back towards the top of the range at 95 to 102.5. Datadog, ticker symbol DDOG, is another that's at the top of my watch list in the week ahead. So a couple weeks ago, the stock sold off big time on earnings, and it sold all the way to backtest the 82 to 84.5 zone. So this area was a major long-term support zone. It broke out of it in May, and now it backtested it as support after the earnings drop, and has reacted great from it so far. As we can see, over the past couple weeks, it has shown big time relative strength versus the market, as it's been uptrending versus the market's downtrend for the past couple weeks. From here, I'll be watching for it to hold above 89.2 on any pullbacks, and breaking above 93.93 can start the next leg higher. And if that plays out, I'd be targeting the next levels up, which are at 100 and then 104.8, which is the gap fill from the earnings. So that is what I'm watching for in the week ahead, keeping it simple and being very picky with entries due to the market conditions. Hope you all enjoyed, and I will catch you next time. For anybody interested in joining the private Discord chat, that is the first link down in the description to get my personal trade alerts, nightly watch list, and I answer any questions you have in there. And good luck in the week ahead. I'll catch you next time, and peace out.